Hi, it's Dwyer, GamblersAdvisory.com, DwyerBoxingNews.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let me offer some post-fight comments on Carl Froch's destruction of Yousef Mack. Now, let me just say, if you're fighting Carl Froch, you need to fight him in a way where you fight the Froch you want to fight, right? Because there are two Carl Froches. There's the Carl Froch who is not that good backing up, who is not that good inside, right? The fight you want to fight with Froch is one where you're forcing him to back up. You're depriving him control of distance, right? You're inside of his big hooks. You're circling him, so he has to adjust his feet. Because if you let him stand straight, and if you let him time you, and if you're stationary in front of him, Carl Froch, with deceptively better than advertised foot speed, can literally leap on you and then start throwing a hook combination, right? Carl Froch has a number of punches. In my opinion, his straight punches are a left jab. He also has a pretty devastating right uppercut. His defense, he has a left uppercut, but it's not his right uppercut. He can throw that right uppercut from way outside. But Carl Froch doesn't really throw, let's say, an overhand straight right hand. He has another gear. Right, he has the straight punches, left jab, right uppercut. Then he has hooks, and he likes to throw the hooks in combination. He's a mid-range hooker. What he's trying to do is to lull you asleep, right? He doesn't fight on his front foot all the time. He'll literally come in the ring and start a fight just looking at you. In his mind, he's always the puncher in the ring. So he'll try to lull you asleep with a jab, not much going on. Then he'll either throw a right uppercut from distance to really hurt you, or he will literally leap in at a moment's notice with a two-handed hook barrage. But understand, he's not great inside of the hooks, right? He's also a guy who doesn't telegraph what he's doing. So he'll wait for you to aimlessly meander over by the ropes, then he'll jump on you. He did it to Lucien Bute, he did it to Yousef Mack. He'll jump on you when you don't have a lot of places to go. And before you know it, Carl Froch is totally open. He's throwing hard hooks with both hands. So the Froch you want to fight is the Froch who's a bit on his back foot, whose jab you have dodged, who you're inside on, right? Denying him the ability to leap forward and surprise you, right? That's the Froch you want to fight. The Froch you don't want to fight is the one where there's not a lot of action going on, right? You're dodging his jab, you're outside of his jab, right? You're not moving much, and suddenly Carl Froch leaps in. Here he is, less than an arm's length away from you, and he's throwing big hooks, and the hooks are two-handed. Right? He doesn't come in with one punch. He's not there to hit you with one punch and hold you. He doesn't want to hold you. He comes in with hooks, and then suddenly you're dealing with a hook from this side, a hook from this side, understand the secret to combination punchers is it's hard to block all the punches. All Carl Froch needs is for one of his punches to get in. And one of the secrets to Carl Froch is that Carl Froch is accurate. Right? When he comes in, he's landing these hooks. On film, it looks like he's slow. Right? But understand he's highly skilled. He's hard to hit. He wasn't worried about Yousef Mack's right hand because, watch the tape, he always has his chin tucked. We talk about Carl Froch having a great chin. The truth is, Carl Froch protects his chin. You have to go through his shoulder to hit his chin. Right? He has his chin tucked. He throws a jab like this, so he's hard to hit. Then he has the other hand, and you need to take a look at the other hand. He has the other hand, just like Adrian Broner, just like Floyd Mayweather. He has the other hand literally tucked around the chin from the other side. So even if I get past the shoulder, right, Carl Froch has this hand also protecting his chin. So Carl Froch, he might be moving slower than some others. But Carl Froch has defense, and what he's trying to do is to just get you to stop moving so he can just wait for you to switch off even momentarily. Then he's on you. He's not an ambush fighter, right? View ambush fighters like bank robbers, right? They jump in, they're on the clock. They rob the bank, they get out quickly. Then they try to hit the next bank, right? That's an ambush fighter. Carl Froch is more of a home invasion, right? He jumps in, you know what? He's not going to leave. He's going to be right up on you. He's not going to leave until you do something to get him to leave, right? He's not a stalker out the gate. He's an opportunist. He waits for his moment, then he jumps in, and he's all in, right? He's not jumping in to grab you. He's jumping in to throw hooks. So, let's talk about Yousef Mack. You know, was there anything that Yousef Mack did right in this fight? Yousef Mack has the foot speed advantage, right? The British broadcasters even talked during the telecast about how Yousef Mack was known for his good foot speed, right? His good footwork. But curiously, against Carl Froch, who you know, Carl is there to fight you, right? That's the one thing you know about Carl, right? You know that if you stand in front of Carl, it's a matter of time before he tries to jump on you. So why isn't Yousef Mack circling Carl Froch like Andre Durrell did to get Carl Froch to move his feet? Worse yet, why is Yousef Mack even getting within the area code of the ropes? Right? Froch isn't leaning on him. Right? I mean, shouldn't Yousef Mack make sure the fight is in the middle of the ring? Because you don't want to run the risk of Carl Froch jumping on you while you're up against the ropes. In fact, didn't Yousef Mack look at the Lucien Boutte tape? Isn't that the mistake Boutte made? Hanging out over at the ropes with Carl Froch right in front of him? That doesn't work. Right? And so, my point is, Yousef Mack literally allowed Carl Froch to dictate the distance between the two guys in the ring. Right? What Yousef Mack should have been doing, at a minimum, is he should have been moving around the ring. At a minimum. He should have been throwing a jab. Right? He should have been doing a lot of feints. In other words, you can't be in front of Carl Froch and allow Carl Froch to get his timing. You know Carl Froch is planning a home invasion. You know that. And so you have to do tricky things like alter your schedule, right? You know, feint, hint at things you're not going to do, stuff like that. Instead, Yousef Mack looks like he's right in front of Carl Froch. He's giving Carl Froch an opportunity to just look at him, while Froch, of course, is figuring out the angles and stuff like that, right? I thought Yousef Mack fought a poor fight. I thought he could have fought much better. Before the fight, he said that he wanted to be like Andre Ward and outslick Carl Froch. Well, understand, Andre Ward moved on Carl Froch. Understand, when Carl Froch threw a jab, Andre Ward made sure to get inside, counter the jab with left hands to the body, right? Andre Ward got so close to Froch that if you look at the Ward-Froch fight, I believe it's like in round 4, Ward actually has Froch up against the ropes. That's the Carl Froch you want to fight. The Froch on his back foot. Not the Froch who's biding his time, who's hovering. And then he comes in on an invasion on his front foot and is hooking you to death. Right? That's not the Carl Froch you want to fight. I give Carl Froch a lot of credit. He's a very highly skilled fighter. My point, though, is the opponent here may have trained hard with Philadelphia fighters and may have been in shape. He certainly wasn't, though, strategy-wise, ready to fight Carl Froch. You know, should have been moving, has moved more in other fights. I don't know whether Yousef Mack saw Froch's hand speed, which isn't great, and thought, hey, I can just stand right in front of him. What's he going to do? I can time his hands. My point is, Carl Froch on a lunge-in is faster than you think he is foot speed-wise. And he hits awfully hard. Once he gets going with his hooks, once he moves past the straight punches, the jab, and literally is in on you throwing hooks, look at Carl. He has his entire body behind the punch. Let me also say this too. Another thing Carl Froch fans need to think about is Carl Froch likes to leap in straight. Right? He's here, then he jumps in throwing hooks straight. So what guys need to do is to literally just use lateral movement. You don't even have to circle him the whole way. Just go to the side, then come back, right? Go to the side, be unpredictable. But the key is, if you keep Carl Froch moving, I don't think Carl Froch can keep his balance to have the kind of leap in that he wants to have. He's a hard fighter to beat. But as I said before, he's a different fighter on his back foot. And he's a different fighter if you can get inside of his hooks. Right? Also, keep in mind too, a highly skilled elite fighter, and you do have to be really highly skilled. We're talking about Ward, we're talking about Chad Dawson. A highly skilled elite fighter would make him pay when he comes inside, because you know Carl Froch doesn't double up on punches. Right? Other than the jab, Froch really doesn't double up on punches. He throws a right hand with his entire body. He comes back with a left hand with his entire body. Right? That's how he does it. Then he comes back with the other hand. If you know, after he throws this punch, that he's going to come back with a left, a good fighter might be able to literally time it so he defenses the left and hits Carl flush. Right? That fighter wasn't Yousef Mack. Masterful performance by Froch. Let me also say too, Froch is a showman. I encourage everyone to go back and look at the first knockdown in the fight. It's in the first round. Froch, of course, tries to be an intimidator in the ring. After Mack hits the floor, Froch looks at him, steers him down. But when you look at the replay, you're going to see Carl Froch doesn't land a flush punch in that exchange. Right? If you're fighting Froch, you have to be prepared for him taking credit for things that haven't happened, especially if you're fighting him in Nottingham. Froch is a showman, right? There are not many in the sport. Paulie Malignaggi is a showman, right? Froch is a showman. He's playing to the crowd. And so my point is, opponents of Froch have to come in the ring ready to do their own showmanship, right? If not to convince the crowd, at least to convince the judges that they aren't badly hurt, that it was a slip, that maybe the feet got tangled up, that Carl Froch staring at them doesn't intimidate them in the slightest. In a different generation, guys like Ray Leonard would literally laugh at you at the end of rounds, right? Ali, right? These guys understood, that there's some showmanship. If you hit Manny Pacquiao hard, you'll actually see Manny Pacquiao go like this, right? He raises his hand as if to say, is that all you got? Now, if you're fighting a Carl Froch who has a lot of charisma, he's one of the most charismatic guys in the sport, you have to be prepared to at least put on some semblance of a show. I didn't even think Yousef Mack did that, right? So dominant performance by Carl Froch. He hits awfully hard. You're in an awful lot of trouble if you're hanging out by the ropes and you get hit with the first punch of a Carl Froch invasion, right? Because if you get hit with the first punch of a Carl Froch invasion and you're disoriented, how are you going to survive the rest of the combination? Keep in mind too, Carl Froch is not an ambush fighter. If he jumps in and he's throwing hard punches, even if you're able to slide off the ropes, he's going to follow you off the ropes, right? He doesn't start the fight on his front foot. He'll certainly be on his front foot if he leaps in and hurts you. So if you're fighting Carl, you either have to keep the fight in the middle of the ring, like Adrian Broner did against Tony DeMarco, right? The fight's either in the middle of the ring or Broner has DeMarco backed up against the ropes. I know there are brief moments where Broner's against the ropes. Most of the time, Broner made sure he wasn't up against the ropes like John Molina was against Tony DeMarco. Yousef Mack should have kept this fight in the middle of the ring, or at least made certain that if the two men ended up at the side of the ring by the ropes, that he wasn't the one between Carl Froch and the ropes, right? He didn't. He blew the spacing. He blew the timing. Didn't show enough lateral movement. Allowed Carl Froch to literally leap in and decimate him. Was not prepared for this fighter. Let me know your thoughts. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Let me also say this too, and I've said it before. I think Lucien Boutte is more talented than Carl Froch. I think Boutte actually has fast hands. I think Boutte is a guy who can really hit you hard to the body. And I know Froch won this on a body punch, but Boutte actually throws much shorter punches than Carl Froch. The elephant in the room is whether or not Boutte has the punch resistance to deal with Froch's power, because certainly over 12 rounds, he's going to get hit a few times on the chin. That's the million-dollar question. If I were Boutte, quite frankly, and I'm someone who thought Boutte would win the first fight, and I was wrong on that. If I were Boutte, I would think long and hard before I hop back in the ring with Carl Froch. I understand they have a signed contract. I understand that contract allows Boutte to have the fight in Canada. But Boutte has to be honest with himself, and he has to realize that that Dennis Grachev fight was awfully hard. And he has to realize that Carl Froch in his 30s, right now, is in his prime. It's hard to imagine Carl Froch ever having been better, right? Carl Froch right now likely beats the Carl Froch from 2 years ago, right? He has improved since the start of the Showtime series. This is not the same Carl Froch who fought Jermaine Taylor, right? And so Boutte, in my opinion, has a lot to think about. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Thanks for watching.